Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Uh-huh. So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Hey, we want to shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con. If you are a fan of comic books, if you're a fan of comic book conventions, and if you like meeting comic book creators and getting comics and comic-related stuff, then you need to make your plans to attend Daytona Beach Comic Con. This year's show is September 9th and 10th. Silverline will be there, so you should make your plans to be there too. We'll see you there. If you like comics and find yourself in the Orlando, Florida area, doesn't everyone come to Orlando at some point in time to see the House of Mouse? But when you're here, you need to make it a point to visit Coliseum of Comics, especially the one on East Colonial Drive. They carry Silverline comics, even a limited edition Coliseum of Comics version of our comics. So, when you go, be sure to ask for Silverline Comics and tell them we sent you. OCD stands for Orlando Collector Deviants. OCD, Steve and Trish, they're a family of geeks who promote geek things, particularly those around the Orlando, Florida area. They're big supporters of Silverline, and we think you should be supporters of theirs too. Go give them some love. If you are an independent comic book maker and you need to get your independent comics made, you need to look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our books, and they do a bang-up job. They're not only trusted by Silverline, but many, many independent comic book makers. Head on over to kablam.com and see for yourself just how easy it is to have your comic printed by them. And tell them Silverline sent you.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
Hi, I'm Barb Kelberg, co-host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham. Join us each Wednesday night as we discuss comics, literature, movies, and anything else that may catch our attention.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline.
Welcome, Silverliners and guests. We are here tonight with a special guest, and I will get to her in a moment. I'm very excited about having her. My name is Barb Kelberg. I am the creator of Divinity, a longtime professional inker, recently a colorist and writer, and the CFO of Silverline. Next to me is Martin. Take it away.
Oh, hi. So I colored a book called Wolf Hunter for Silverline. Awesome book, wonderful book, and I'm working on book 2. And I really got to get the pages done for book 2 and get that out the door. And I keep saying that every week, but I really, really do. I think it's good enough, and I just got to bite the bullet and hammer out the images and get them on the Dropbox so Roland can get them out the door. But yeah, so I color for Silverline. And
and
what's
the venerable
Rob Davis do?
Well, I pencil and ink and sometimes color my own work that I publish through my own little self-publishing house, Redbud Studios. Most people know what little fame I have comes from doing Star Trek Deep Space Nine for Malibu Comics back in the 1990s. I also did some work for DC, Marvel, Innovation, Caliber, just a bunch of different places. But for Silverline, I did the 4-issue miniseries Twilight Grim with my old pal R.A. Jones, and Barb and I are working on a secret project. In fact, it's on the table behind me right now on the page 10. So, yeah, as Cassisi zooms in.
Yeah, trying to get whatever I can.
He's like, secret project that's right behind me.
Yeah, but we don't know what we haven't said what it is. So we were trying to build the suspense as we get closer and closer to getting that first issue done. So now to that guy,
All right, the
Below me
new
there.
guy. Yeah, Kasisi Harris. I'm a writer with Silverline, working on I guess it's already written, the new Silverline team up with Tempest and Miss Fury and the new character that we're introducing. So wrote the first 2 issues. The first one is almost done, I think, with the pages. Then it'll be colored and go into production that way. Then I do some of my own stuff. So, but really new, the aspiring, trying
He's
to get
one of
my
my
own stuff
he's
on
one of my co-editors on Divinity.
and I am
So
also a co-editor on Divinity,
getting his feet wet on the editing scene.
which I love. So
Yeah,
Really?
you have
Excellent.
really good suggestions too.
I love it.
Yeah, very, very good.
And tonight we are welcoming our special guest, Laurie Calcaterra,
Mhm.
and she is going to tell us about her book, Path of a Pale Rider.
Yes.
First question I'm going to ask her, though, is what is a master chef at Ninja School of Extreme Cooking?
Yeah.
I really
That's
want to know.
my fake profession I put on Facebook years ago, and I kind of forgot it was there. But it kind of sums up, hey, Victor Medina is so hot right now. That kind of sums up my, I don't know, me, because I do martial arts. I love to cook. I'm very creative, and I have a sense of humor. So I was like, why not?
That's
That's what it's just a joke.
Oh shoot! I was like hoping you were.
You were like, there's an extreme ninja cooking school somewhere. Sign me up.
I am missing out.
Mm.
So let's talk a little bit before we get to Path of a Pale Rider. Let's talk about how you got into this crazy industry called comics, because you started at a production company, didn't you?
Yes, I did. It actually goes back further than that. I started doing martial arts in 1997. I study Filipino and Indonesian martial arts.
Nice.
And so that's what got me started into this journey, which is a weird thing to say, but that's what started it. So
Which ones?
I started with Pencak Silat. I love Filipino stick like the stick arts. So Kali Eskrima, Doce Pares, and Miguel Eskrima, Arnis. Right now I'm studying Kali's Illustrissimo. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's not super mainstream, but the history behind it is nuts. Which I could spend a whole nother show talking about how that art started and like the founder of that art.
I know nothing about martial arts.
Oh my God. The guy that created this art, he was in the military. He was in the bayonet corps, and then he joined the Coast Guard. He was fighting pirates on ships, retired from that, and became a hitman for the mob in Manila. Okay. That's where this art comes from. So that's why I'm like, I want that one. The guy that died of old age being a hitman, sign me up for that.
Yeah, it does make writing fight scenes easier, doesn't it?
It does, but yes and no, because my artists are like, gosh, dang it, Laurie, like, do we need 17,000 different kinds of punches in one fight? And I'm like, so a lot of times I'm like, I'm cutting things out of the fight because, it's like you get 1 page, maybe 2 pages for a fight, and not like, 24 pages for a fight scene. So,
but you know how the body works.
Yeah. So that's the bonus. I'll be like, this is what that kind of punch looks like. You know what I mean? And so I've actually choreographed the fights that are in the comics. So I give my artists like a reference of what the fight looks like.
Very
That's
good.
fun.
That's cool.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
As an artist, I like that a lot. I want to put what you asked for on the page.
Yes.
If you know what you're talking about,
this is what I'm looking for.
Give it to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So 2017, we're gonna fast forward 2017. I was working with a production company in Detroit called Coattail Collective, and we were choreographing fight scenes for like short films and music videos, and not really commercials, but we would like fall down a lot and be the stunt people, and we would work with their talent, teaching them what they could and what they were capable of doing in a shoot. And some of them are really good and can go like a couple minutes, other ones it's like okay, cut, you learn 2 moves and then we cut, and another 2 moves and then we cut. So it's all that fast paced camera work. I put together a short film called Catfishing. I was the writer, executive producer, and fight one of the 3 fight choreographers in it. And it was just basically like our calling card. It was our resume of some of the things that we could do as a fight team. So it was the three main choreographers, and like I did a wall run in a stairwell. We had an extended knife fight in a parking garage. I ran someone over with a car. Like we were doing all sorts of stuff, and it was a total of 7 minutes. And oh my gosh, we filmed that thing forever, and at 3 a.m. and I felt like I got hit by a bus doing
It's amazing how much you can do in 7 minutes too, isn't it?
It is, but it's like we worked so hard for 7 minutes of film.
Yeah.
It's just insane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at that point, the production company was like, what else can you write? What else can you do? Right. So I was writing some short form web content for them. I wrote a series called The Agency, which is like spy versus spy, with lots of twists, lots of martial arts. And we had filmed the pilot in 2018, like mid 2018. We were getting ready to do reshoots when my family had relocated to Texas. So that all went full stop, right? Because I can't commute back and forth for this web content. You know what I mean? We're not getting paid for this. It was just something that we were doing on the side. But in the meantime, I got bitten by the writing bug, and I came up with the idea for Path of the Pale Rider, and I had written it as a full-length movie. So I was shopping around. I say that loosely, like I was letting people read it, right? And I was being told this is big enough for a Netflix. Like you should pitch it to Netflix. And people in the business were telling me Netflix. But I don't know if you've ever researched pitching to Netflix.
It's easier said than done.
Yeah, you got to know someone, right? Well, first you got to hire a literary agent that works specifically with Netflix. They won't talk to you directly. And if by some chance they pick your script out of the other 800, they buy the rights completely. So they can rewrite it.
Total control.
Yes. They can cast whoever they want. They can change whatever they want. They could shelve it, and I could do nothing about it, and it could never see the light of day. I wasn't ready to do that. I wanted to develop myself, and I had all these extra things I wanted to do, like the short films and the riddles, and have this like meta fan interactive experience, which is what we have. And so they were never going to do any of that stuff. So I had to do it. And it wasn't until my husband read it that he was like, this is a comic book. And I was like, you are so right. And so
You got sucked in.
Yeah, well, we were reading a lot of comics as young adults. He was reading DC Comics as a kid. He read a lot of Batman. I didn't actually get into reading comics until I was in college. I think the first thing I read was Who Watches the Watchmen. Yeah, I know. But it was really dark because it was like Who Watches the Watchmen, The Walking Dead, Saga, East of West. Like these are the things that sucked me in, right? And so I never got like the superhero the morals. It was all dark, right?
It was the dark side for sure. Yes. Yeah.
And so the challenge became, how do I turn a movie script into cohesive comic books? And then how do you get started? Like, how do you figure this all out? You know, I had no experience, no connections, knew no artists, nothing. That was 2020. We decided to move into comic books, and what a crappy time to get started.
Why? Actually, it's probably good because everybody's at home. All the artists.
Well, everybody was at home, but everything went wrong.
Went south.
Well, I found an artist that was interested, and he had tackled the pencils and inks, and I brought in another artist to color, and then things like it was cursed. It was just not the right time for it, and it was destined to just fail because. And the guys are both great. I'm still fronting. We didn't burn any bridges or anything like that. It was like one got COVID, and then the other one, a tree fell on his house, and then the other one got COVID.
Oh my word!
And like, so the second one got COVID, and then the first one, his ceiling collapsed in his apartment. And then you see what I mean? Like it was like one thing after another, and then the first guy ended up falling through. So he was like, "There is just too much on my plate right now." And I'm like, "I get it, man." And so the second guy tried to take over, so we started over. And then same thing, like it was too much with COVID and work and kids at home, and hi, I'm big. But it was just not the right time. And so I took a break for a year, we turned off everything, and I sat on it for a year, and I was like, if I find the right artist for this project, I'll move forward. But I learned how to be patient, which is hard to do sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I met Marco DeFio January of 2022 through social media. We were both in a group connecting comic book artists and writers, and I had posted stuff. He had posted stuff. I think I replied to one of his posts, and we started talking. We put together a Kickstarter in March, and then we were self-published issue number 1, Path of the Pale Rider, in July of 2022. And so it's just been every 6 months or so, we've been turning out an issue. We turned out a trade paperback in the beginning of this year. So issues 1 through 4 in a collected trade. And then we're moving on to issue number 5.
Yep.
But
Which brings us to.
yeah, but this is a scary moment for us because Marco's a working artist, and he usually had 3 projects that he was rotating through, and then a 4th one showed up, and that 4th one was such a good opportunity. I was like, you cannot pass up this opportunity, sir. I will be upset with you if you do. But that means that he couldn't do Path anymore. So.
And it looks like you've already reached your goal, but as everybody knows, we usually set goals a little low so that we can make them, but you will try to shoot past your goal in order to turn out a better product and get more of those goodies into the hands of your readers, these stretch goals.
Right. And we have some really cool stretch goals. And again, it's like anything that we make over our goal goes into just making the next comic. And it just means that we can turn around the next comic a little bit quicker, because maybe instead of doing a 4-page preview, hey, Pops, we get in 6 pages or 12 pages. So, hey, yo. That's funny. I can hear his voice in my head. Hey, yo.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Hey, yo.
Well, to our audience, I am going to read this little blurb here about.
Make sure you do it in a very dramatic voice.
What would you do upon death? Your soul, if your soul didn't leave your body, you are trapped. Yeah.
We're now trapped in a decaying flesh.
Aren't we all? I'm 65. Good Lord.
Trying to give you some dramatic music to go behind it, but.
And the world no longer makes sense. Forgetfulness, violence, or indifference set in. Again, that sounds like old age. People, animals, insects, the death process has been broken for all. 10 years into the apocalypse, and I love apocalyptic stories, by the way.
Cool.
Most people just try to scrape by, but Jude St. Clair, very cool name, is tirelessly searching for the answer to the question, why did the dead no longer die? What will he discover? It's the Illuminati. Government conspiracy, chemical spill, meteor from space. I like this one the best. Sentient yogurt. I agree. It's a severe form of lactose intolerance. That's what it is. Come with Jude on his path through undead bears, famine, riots, and the fall of society as he tries to survive long enough to uncover truths, each more unbelievable than the next. You don't want to miss this extraordinary journey through the wasteland. Can Jude heal the world, or will he succumb to an eternity of decay?
Nice.
Dun, 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 dun.
I love it.
Okay. Yeah. And as you guys can flip through the page and see some of the art from all 5 issues so far. And I have to say that, and this is a cool one right here.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say that I was impressed. The first issue that we were given to read, I was impressed that for a newbie, you were able to write in such and convey to the artist a style that you could convey a lot in very few words, and that is a tough.
That's tough for writers to learn, of comics to learn.
Yeah, that is a tough talent to master. But you did it in the first issue. I'm so
Why,
Jealous.
thank
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing that
Yeah.
immediately struck me. You didn't have any
Yes.
really big dialogue till page 10. I was like, wow, but I get a sense of who the character is and what
Yes.
kind of man that character is
Yeah.
Yeah.
in that first 10
I
pages.
like
But like
to
you learn.
I like to show people, not tell people. So you get to know Jude St. Clair through his decision-making process in that first issue. You know, that
Mhm.
he's the whole thing with the heart monitor, like that's really interesting too. Like, what is that about? Why is he making the kid tap it? And he puts his gun away once he finds out he's living. He's trying to fight off the wolves. He's like going to so he's up all night, he's making bad decisions, but he's super nice to this woman and child. And then he has this relationship with his lady, his horse. Diana Prince is her name.
Yes,
And then
I
of
caught
course,
that too.
yeah. And then yeah. Thank you, Pops. This is the one that Pops thinks about at night. He sits up at night because he'll send me a message and be like, "So what if this?" And I'll be like, "You still thinking?" He's like, "Yep, still thinking."
Oh.
So that's to me important for the character to show you who they are based off of their actions
Yeah,
instead of
comics is
letting
about
things happen to
images.
them.
Yeah. Tell us the stuff in images. Yeah.
Yes, and that's the cool thing about comics is that I can have dialogue and I can have 2 or 3 things going on in one panel, and you get all this information visually. So I don't
Mhm.
have to cram a bunch of words in. My poor artist
Yeah.
has to do it. Yeah, we're like,
And
okay,
But that's
here's
our
the 3
job.
things I need to happen in this one panel.
yes, and wasn't this prophetic? March 5th, 2020. Everything has changed. Holy cow. I hope you wrote this before the
I
pandemic.
did. I like
You're
I
a
said,
prophetess.
it's weird. I wrote this all in 2018 and it has not changed. I did
That's when
not
March is when they shut the country down.
Yes. Well, March
Yeah.
5th is my birthday. So that's why that date was picked. And
Oh.
2020 was 2 years into the future of when I wrote it. So when we were going through the pandemic and my sister, who I'm close with, was one of the people that got to read the script before we turned it into a comic book. So she called me, I don't know, midway through the year. And she was like, "Hey, Laurie, I've got a question for you." And I was like, "Sure, Beck, what can I do?" And she's like, "Can you please stop writing? Because your story is coming true and I don't like it." And I was like,
Yes.
"I don't know what to tell you. I've already written the whole thing, man."
Yeah, it says March 5th,
Okay, so
2020. Everything has
Yeah.
changed. I woke up this morning and the world is fundamentally different. Boy, oh boy, that's just
It
creepy.
did. In reality, yes.
Yep. People who are very clearly dead are still walking and talking as if they are themselves. How is this possible? Their gray eyes are just as confused as mine. What happened? And that is
Yeah.
the beginning of the first issue.
Yeah.
And that right there, it starts to suck you in.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Very good.
every issue starts with a journal entry from Jude St. Clair. Yeah.
And this is one of the panels that grabbed me right away because we get a lot of information in very few words, but you know what's going on. In order to make sure he's not infected, he wants his kid to tap this monitor. And tell us more about the monitor.
So the undead, again, are not zombie, flesh-craving, brain-eating, mindless people. They're humans. They're just their body is dead. They are going through decay. So their brain is decaying. They lose memories. They become chaotic. They get dangerous. And so 10 years into the apocalypse, people have taken sides. The government has come in and stripped away rights, made it illegal for undead to be in living communities. And one of the things that they did when they started stripping rights is to make everybody wear these devices. It's a heart monitor. And so when it's activated, like he says, hit it, and he taps his, it lights up. So if they are living like these 2 individuals, it will light up green. It will have the EKG line. So you get 2 visual, alerts that they are living,
Indications.
and you also get audio. So it will go lump bump, lump bump, lump bump with your heart. However, if you are undead, it turns red, it flatlines, and it alarms, and it doesn't stop alarming until it gets on a heartbeat again. And so that was the government's way of knowing from day one who is undead and who is not, because they were so concerned about separating people as soon as they turned undead because of the sides that were taken.
Can
So
they still vote?
can they own property? Can they drive, have firearms? What happens in a nuclear family where one family member, let's say a child passes, and they're going to come disappear this child? It gets really sticky very quickly.
Yeah,
That's
that
good.
is excellent questions.
And the other thing about these discs, they're technology, and humans, we're great at hacking stuff. So who's to say that someone hasn't hacked one of these?
Well, yeah, I was going to say that.
Oh,
That could be easily
did you
done.
just drop a hint?
Easily done.
Stick a chip in it, and it'll turn green and imitate a ka-thump. Yeah.
Yep.
Easy enough.
Okay.
Oh, and
So,
they malfunction all the time because they're government issue. So you know that there's problems
Lowest bidder.
because of
Yep.
these. Yeah. But that, I mean,
so
This is what
no.
happened.
Did you say that the death affects the non-dying or whatever you want to call it? It
Yes.
affects everything. It affects
everything.
everything. Okay. So that, well, I don't know if I want to ask the question because it's going to give something away. So
Do it.
so doesn't the horse die?
Technically, the horse is undead.
But
she
I mean,
was- could she
how
come back? Is that what you're asking me? Could the horse come back? Absolutely.
how far do you have to be destroyed before you can't come back?
That's a
I
good question
mean,
too.
and I've talked about this in other podcasts as well. What happens when you are just bones? Are you still there? The answer is yes. Can you move? Can you communicate? The answer is no, but there are consequences to becoming a pile of bones. So we just haven't gotten that far in the story, but we will. So I promise you, I will answer all of these questions because we've gone down all of those rabbit holes. Yeah, the bones and ash that I sent to people in the second campaign, Pops.
Oh my God.
Wow.
We'll talk about that. We'll get there.
Wow.
It's like I had
Okay,
sent someone the secret reward, which we'll talk about, but it was a bottle of bones and ashes. And the whole point of that was I had written a poem. This is not the poem, but it was a poem that basically said, like, if you put a seashell to your ear, you can hear the ocean. What happens when you put a bottle of bones and ash next to your ear? Do you hear the voices of the damned? So I sent these to backers, and they were all like, what is this? And I was like, welcome to Path of the Pale Rider.
Wow, that's good.
Okay, one question.
Mm-hmm.
Did this come to you in a flash, or did you? Yeah, because ideas like this come in a flash,
Yeah.
and then your mind starts fleshing it out. Is that
Mhm.
how
Yeah.
it happened?
That's how
Yeah.
divinity happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. It was what
The
happens.
creative process is weird like that. It
Yes.
just comes to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
People are like, what was the inspiration? I was like, I don't know, man. It was a bolt of lightning. It was one of those, like, what if
Yeah.
death was broke? And what would that
Yep.
look like? And that's when the world building came first. How would people act? How would what would we do to tell each other apart? What would we do down the line? So that's why we start 10 years into the apocalypse, is because we've explored all of that. And when you get into these issues, so issue 1 and issue 2 are those 10 years into the apocalypse. We're with Jude St. Clair. You get to see kind of how people treat each other, how volatile it is, how small decisions have major consequences in this world.
Butterfly effect. Yeah.
Yes. But then at the end of 2, we drop you into a flashback. So
and you see, you took a risk here.
I did.
A big risk in devoting two issues into a flashback.
Yeah.
That's a risky move.
Yeah. Actually, issue 5 starts in that flashback, but we're almost caught up. We catch up in issue 5. But there was a lot to tell in that flashback. How it all started, how things devolved, how the world works, Jude's story, his trauma. what makes him tick, what drives him, why is he looking for Dwayne Fink? All of that's in the issues 3 and 4. So they needed to have a standalone, like, one was how the world was devolving, and issue 3, it will bring back memories of the pandemic. I am so sorry, but that's what we wrote. And then, of course, at the end of 3, it's like the difference between watching the TV and watching the bad stuff happen and then having it come home. That last page of issue 3, it's like, oh crap, this is where we're going. So issue 4 is that Apocalypse come home and Jude and his family dealing with things that are very much real to them now. And then pushing Jude out the door, out of the frying pan into the fire. And it's a rough place. Issue 5, we're 9 years into the apocalypse. So you get to see some familiar faces from issue 4 and before. And then we catch up in time when we're back in that jail cell with Dwayne Fink, and you get to finally find out what he knows. And then it's a bad day for Jude St. Clair, because that's how it goes in Path. He doesn't have no rest for the weary.
I'm going to make a suggestion here that perhaps you're a touch prophetic here. And it reminds me of another prophetic work where this line is in, and it goes like this. And I don't know if this prompted you or not. It says, "And in those days men will seek death and will not find it. They will long to die, and death flees from them."
We're going to explore the concept of death for sure. The Pale Rider is one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, right?
Yeah.
And it is death. He who rides in on the pale horse means death, and hell follows behind him.
So is the main character, the Pale Rider's not the cowboy?
I'm not going to say.
Well, he might be.
I thought it was the main character. Okay.
All
we
right.
get that a lot. People are like, Jude's the Pale Rider, right? And I was like, is he though? Because you can take a lot of meaning from it. And again, it's a Western. I grew up watching Westerns with my dad.
Oh, yeah.
I love Clint Eastwood movies, and Pale Rider was one of those that we watched.
Good looking cowboy. I'm all over that.
Yeah. So people a lot of times are like, Pale Rider, that's that Clint Eastwood movie. And I'm like, oh, you would like this. If you know that movie, you would like this series. We are
spaghetti Western.
Yes. We are apocalyptic Western. It's amazing.
So there's a
Victor Medina was in the chat earlier. That's his cover.
So there's something interesting going on here. Then you almost have in a weird way an innate amount of layers that are just available to you. Because you can hide stuff, you can keep stuff, and it's all built in. That's really
fascinating. And it came in a lightning bolt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just all came in a lightning bolt.
Isn't that nuts?
It is.
No,
that's the creative process.
That's how my book started too.
Yeah. People that have gotten that lightning bolt, they get it.
Came to it in a dream, and I woke up with it fully formed in my head.
Yes, and I still dream about this. Like because I'm still writing into the 2nd and 3rd arc, and so I'll be like, I'm stuck. I need something exciting, and I'll think about it some more, and I'll dream about it, and I'll be like, okay, this is what
your
happens.
Subconscious does not rest. And here we see one of the undead that is apparently still with it enough so far.
Well, and maybe. I mean, 10 years into the apocalypse, don't you think that we have addressed the undead? How should I say it? The living impaired.
The living impaired.
Because we would probably self-embalm. We probably would use chemical and makeup combinations to address skin. And I mean, they probably did this more towards the beginning because the undead were a minority, so they were trying to pass as living for longer. At this point in the story, 10 years, they are the majority in places. So they don't care about their appearance anymore. So they can have no face, and they don't cover their face.
So in the future, embalming is the future plastic
it's like
surgery.
We'll Botox it, except with formaldehyde.
Death becomes her.
Yes, Thank you. There's this scene in issue 3 where there's a gentleman named Frederick Needlemeyer who gets smashed by a truck and ends up in the ER. And the doctor scene is very close to that. You'll have to read that one. It's so funny. Thank you, sir. That's Lola. Yes. You meet her in issue 4. She's back, and she's bad news in this one.
One of the really cool things that I noticed about your Kickstarter was that it's interactive. Tell us more about this.
Okay. So, being from a production company, I knew that I wanted to explore things outside of the main story. The world is so big. The world is so big, and there's so many different things that are going on that I can't show you because the story is being told from Jude St. Clair's point of view, right? So the back of every single issue is a riddle. If you solve these riddles, you can interact with Path of the Pale Rider like it's real. So this cover is the back of issue 4. And if you figure out this riddle, it is a phone number. Pick me up to call, but hope it's not for you. You are just a number. And it works. It's a working number. Not somebody. There's a recording, but it does pick up on the other side. I have hidden YouTube videos. I have things that show up in your mailbox from a character. And all of these things are hinting at things that are coming in the story. So,
how the hell did you get a Funko Pop?
They're custom made. So it says Pop Custom in the left corner because someone else was like, "Are you allowed to do that?" I'm like, "It is different enough that it's not." I go through. I don't make these myself. Like, this is from a professional studio. They custom make these, and so I send them pictures from the comic. And these are, they have discs on them. They have canon accurate wounds that Big James, he has the wounds of the bear in the comic. Dwayne Fink is the lovable drunk from Santa Claus. He has a beer in his hand. Callie St. Clair was our first undead human. She's green. She has her locket and she has a disc. These are well thought out. And the studio that builds these, they also read the comics. So they're fans. So they put love into these. They turn out amazing.
That's what you need. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to know what they're talking about. Yep.
Yes. Our next one is Francis St. Clair, which is Jude St. Clair's dad. So if you read 4, you know what's going to happen with that pop.
And this one astounds me.
The hot sauce. Yes.
You have hot sauce.
I make the hot sauce.
On.
Oh wow. Very nice.
These
Very
are
nice.
my hot sauce. A funny story. A good friend of mine, Chris Brown. He's a writer. Oh my gosh, he's so talented. He does comics, novels, card games, tabletop games. Honestly, there's nothing this man cannot do. He's also an outdoorsman. And so he was making hot sauce and he was like, just for fun, can I slap Big James on the label of one of my bottles? And I was like, yes. In return, can you send me 2 bottles? I want one for me and one for my dad. And he was like, done. Don't you dare. Don't you dare do that. You know what happens? You get squished. So Chris made this, and of course I got my bottle and I posted on social media. Look how cool this is! I'm so excited! And everybody's like, shut up and take my money. I want one. And I was like, oh, I didn't anticipate that. So then I was like, dear Chris, do you want to make hot sauce for me every campaign? And he was like, no. He's like, I'm going to send you the recipe. He's like, here's where you get the bottles. Here's where you get the labels. And here's how you put it together. And so I know my way around a kitchen and I had no problem. And so I put them on our 3rd campaign. 6 bottles went out. I put them on the trade paperback. 12 bottles went out. And currently on this campaign, there's about 33 bottles that are spoken for. And we have 10 days left. So I'm going to be making lots of hot sauce. Yeah.
Boy, doesn't that really add to the freight charges though?
Yep. The ship on this is what it is because it's heavy. But yeah.
Liquids are heavy. Yep.
But I mean, what Kickstarter campaign can you go on and get comic books and hot sauce?
Right. Isn't that right? Comic books and hot sauce. It should seem like
So this is fascinating because I think you're taking comics into a very new direction.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is
Love
you in a way you're almost making this into your own industry for yourself.
Mhm.
And but you're kind of,
This.
how
is
do I put
where
this?
comics
You're
are
creating
heading.
an interactive world that people can associate with an entire idea, right?
It's
Yes.
a cult.
So
It's a cult.
Yes, we're building a cult.
You get
It's a cult.
you can in a strange way you can literally eat your taste
Yeah,
your comic.
you could eat.
Right?
You could eat a
So-
part of Path of the Pale Rider. Yes. And people were like, "But hot sauce
so-
and zombies, how does that go together?" I'm like, "Well, in this world, the undead don't have to eat,
Mhm.
but everything is kind of dulled. Their senses are dulled. They don't say they died; they say they passed into the gray." And so maybe hot sauce, things that are more spicy or more salty, or they come through. So maybe a drop of hot
Gives
sauce
them a
on the
sense of life.
tongue
That
reminds
happens
them of a fonder time.
That's
that happens
good.
as you get older. Your senses dull a little bit,
Yeah.
so you want a little more hot sauce
You
on
need
your
more
stuff.
hot sauce. Put some hot
Yep.
sauce on it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am.
This is
So-
really.
Ah.
Barb, I think we need to steal some ideas for Roland.
For our Kickstarters.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got one coming up next month.
Hey.
Well, like how do we start? How do we start making? How do we start making?
Well,
One thing we can already do is make
cat and
make
mouse
the
hot
mouse
sauce from
hoodie.
Louisiana.
Make the
Well-
mouse hoodie. So,
Well, we had on Cat
Yeah.
and Mouse. We had mouse's earrings that we had in one Kickstarter.
Oh, cool. I haven't
And,
done jewelry yet.
Yeah, another one. We were going to do gree bags from New Orleans. It's
Yeah,
just
you
you
can
got to
do
be inventive to catch
Yes.
a customer's eye. You have to be out of the box.
Yeah.
And
Guerrilla
I
marketing.
very much
Guerrilla
see
marketing,
that in this
Thank you.
Kickstarter. and which
I
is
very
so-
much strive for that. And you'll see that in quite a few things. So my merchandise is outside, my stretch goals are outside the box. The whole the back cover with the riddles, the short films. I have short films that are fan interactive so people can participate and see themselves on the screen.
Yeah, and that's
Um,
another thing. The interactive thing is something that I don't think I've seen a lot of.
We have
All
choose
right,
your own
so-
adventure books. I say
Oh,
books
wow.
because I'm working on the second one, but the first one
All
you
right.
can add on.
Can I
Mm-hmm.
throw an idea out for you?
Sure.
All right.
It's free, right?
It's completely free, and maybe
Just-
Silverline can pick up. I'm sorry, Silverline, but I'm going to give her an idea. Other people, okay. So I work for a printing company, and one of the things that we do is called what is it? You can print products, custom printed products.
3D printing?
No,
3D
not
printing?
3D printing. Custom printed products. So as in like, you can send out the same product, but everybody's name is printed into a separate
Oh, custom made.
file. So like,
ASI
so you could
stuff.
so you could technically so this is Kalis here, right? So
Mhm.
Yeah.
you could set this up as a variable, and you could print this as everybody's name, and each issue would have someone else's name on the cover.
That's interesting.
So yeah, so you could set it up that you have a comic where you say, okay, you can submit your name and your name gets put into the comic, right?
Well,
or you-
everybody's name is on the thank you page.
right?
I
Yeah,
killed
no,
off
but
half
I mean
the-
like, but you could set it up that like one of the characters gets named after them or something like that, or
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So.
look at that.
And then,
cover.
and then each individual issue, if everyone buys the individual issue, that character's name is that person's name in that book,
I see.
right? So
Oh,
those are the kind of ideas that you can do. So I'm throwing it out there as a concept, but
Huh.
Like-
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
I do want to mention that we switched interior artists with issue 5. Marco DeFio, like I said, had an opportunity to knock on his door, but he and I are still friends. He will be involved with Path, but doing like variant covers for us. So the variant cover by Marco DeFio, who was the interior artist for 1 through 4. And our new interior artist is Gilbert Perez. So it
Totally
didn't
understand
that
that.
much. Gilbert is doing a good job trying to keep the spirit the same. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I said totally understand that. I had the same thing with Divinity.
Yeah,
1 through.
Divinity's still there.
I had to switch artists at number 4 because my 1 through 3 artists found another.
It's
better page.
What I really love about this story and about this book and this world that you created is you've named a whole lot of people. So obviously this is your world that spawned from you, but in creating this world, you talk about all these people you meet and all these artists that you've interacted with. Did you find, so I got a couple questions for you. Did you find that, you know, that kind of blew up as the world became more and more real? Did you just have the ability to network with people, and so from the very beginning you had this big support system to help you kind of create this world? Like how did that go for you?
So when we launched issue 1 and I was so green, I made the smartest move ever, which was to hire a publicist. So Jeff Haas got me on, I want to say I did 34 podcasts, my first Kickstarter. And I met a ton of people. Well, me looking back at the goal that I had for issue 1, 4,550 for an unknown name with an unknown artist running a issue 1. That's just, I look back at that like that was crazy, and I have no idea how we managed to make our goal plus some, right? But I met Pops in the madness, and he immediately saw, you know, that this was something special. And so I was introduced to a ton of people. And then eventually I became a regular on one of the shows, which then became my show. So I started hosting the Tuesday Morning Brew, I think around episode, correct me if I'm wrong, Pops, I'm going to say 34. And that's where it turned into more from a panel show into an interview style show. And I met so many incredible artists, and I learned so much so fast.
Yeah, talk about jumping into the deep end there, girl.
Yeah, I really did. But the community was so gracious. Everyone, I had 4 million questions, and I was just asking everybody who would give me a little piece of their time, you know, so I could learn. It was episode 35. Thanks, Pops. So that's really where I got my taste of community. And that's where I started to meet people. Charter Comics is here in Texas. They found me after issue 1 and immediately offered me a home there. So my comics were 2 through 4 published with Charter Comics, and they distribute my comics. They take them to Comic-Cons. I do Comic-Cons with them. They introduced me to other creators. I write another series that is creator owned. So William Russel, who did that Reaper on the Horse with the Pale Moon, he's a working artist, and so I write his series for him. He has these big ideas, but he doesn't know how to connect them all and make a cohesive story. And so he brought me in to put his story together for him. So I wrote Psycho Cell 4, 5, and 6. I'm currently writing 7 for him, and we have planned out 8 and 9. So it's just been an amazing journey. I meet so many wonderful people that want to collaborate and want to share ideas. And I have so many people lined up to do variant covers. I feel bad because they're like, I want to do a variant. And I'm like, great. 3 issues from now is when I have a spot open, you know?
Yeah.
And like when we do a trade paperback, it's 1 cover. Sorry.
So how much is this consuming you now? Like how is this pretty much now like a full-time gig for you?
It's a full-time job. Absolutely.
Really? Wow.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Crazy.
Because you know, I'm the writer, I'm the marketer. I create most of the merch. I plan all of the Kickstarters, I'm on a ton of podcasts. I manage my art team. I do Comic-Cons, I do table signings, I do it's just anything and everything that you can think of. I'm very active. Well, and my other full-time job is my family. You know, I have 2 kids. that I'm very active with. They're still school age, so I take them to school. I pick them up every day. I do the traditional cook, clean, take the dog for a walk. I do
You're a
all of
soccer
that.
mom. You're
Yep.
a soccer mom. Yep.
Yeah, I do that. And I cook. You know what I mean? So I not just the hot sauce, but I have a baking business on the side as well. So
Oh,
I do the
wow.
I do the films. I do all. I just it's my full-time job. I'm always doing something, and if I'm not doing something on my series, I'm helping Carissa Grant, or I'm doing stuff for Chris Brown. I'm writing Psycho Sal. I wrote in an anthology for Big Dog Inc. that's going to be coming out this summer. I'm busy. Yeah. And so I feel bad
So you
sometimes.
obviously have a very, very, very good scheduling.
Time management.
I
Time
triage.
management.
I triage,
Time
but yes,
management.
efficient time is key.
Time
And
management.
oh my gosh,
I was one too,
Comic mom.
a comic mom.
yeah,
I have an open concept house, kind of like, and when I was in the 90s, especially when my kids were young, I had my studio and I could see them all the
Mhm.
time. Yeah, it
Yep.
it made it good for being able to run them around and then come back, but you still have to make your deadlines. So that was the
Yep.
good thing.
Yeah, but
Who
you're
needs
managing your own
sleep?
time. Yeah, you're
Whew.
managing it because you're the boss. You don't have
Yeah.
you don't have to punch a clock at 8 and then punch out at 5.
Right.
You can pick the hours you can do this stuff. That's what's great about this kind of creative endeavor is that
Yes.
Yeah.
you're essentially your
Besides,
own boss.
you can sleep when you're dead, right?
Yeah.
That too.
Yeah.
Sleep when you're dead. It's so
Well,
funny.
in the case of her book, no, not even
Oh
then.
no, that's the worst. You can die and go to work on Monday, and
Mhm.
whoops, like you can't call out dead. Sorry.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've been unalived.
Yeah, they're like, sorry, you got a report to turn in.
We'll make a note in your HR
Yeah.
file.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
you can take
Oh
off
my
tomorrow.
goodness.
So every
Oh,
50
I love the
backers,
cards too. That's
yeah,
great.
we're unlocking. We're building a poker deck, and so this is kind
Okay.
of my incentive for people to come back every campaign, because
I love
if you
this.
back a book, we unlock these every 50 backers, and you get them for free. There's people who have been building this since I first came up with it, and this was actually Pop's idea. He was like, "You need cards," and I was like, "Everybody else does like trade cards. I want to do something different." And he was like, "Poker cards," and I was like, "Poker cards." And off we went. So,
Yeah.
but I want to build this thing, man. I'm considering dropping the 50 backers to a lower backer number so we can get them out a little sooner. Because I mean, the goal is obviously to bring people to the campaign so we unlock more. But it's like I'm getting impatient. I want more cards. I have a ton of indie PDF bundles that we're rolling out. We just unlocked the first one. In fact, I wanted to add one to this. I just have to update the graphic, but I love doing the indie PDF bundles because both the physical and the digital backers qualify for this. So stretch goals are, I try to do different stuff in my stretch goals, but I want everybody to benefit from breaking the stretch goals, not just the physical backers. So that's my way of doing that. So I have a Charter Comics one. I have a inked publish. I have an inked marketing one. I have any One World one. I just have all sorts of really cool other indie stories that I would love for people to read and for free. So why not? Yeah, I get mine's right here. Pops, I got a shirt this time too, so I gotta unbox my stuff. Brandon's like, open my things. Sorry, Brandon.
Yeah, well, you are a very, very, very good advertisement for the indie industry, which, as we always say here on Silverline,
it's the future.
Is the future of comics.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's the future of comics. This is where it is.
This is where it is. This is where all the good stuff is. All the new stuff. Oh my gosh, I watched a TikTok. This guy was like, "Hey, you're going to go to the movies?" He's like, "There's nothing new." And then the guy was like, "What do you mean?" And he named off 22 movies that were coming out this year. They are all prequels, sequels, or remakes.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I didn't realize it was that bad. It is that bad, people.
It is that bad, yes.
If you want a new story, you got to come to Indie Comics. That's where it is. Isn't that cool? I love that. That's going to be a print.
Even as far as TV is, scripted TV shows are becoming too expensive
Yeah.
to make, so it's all this freaking reality shows
Well,
and game
I-
shows.
I have a bone to pick with this whole reality show business stuff.
No,
Now,
it's not.
those are still scripted.
Those are
Give me a
scripted.
break. They, you know,
100% they are.
if it's not scripted ahead of time, it's scripted afterwards, and they edit and change things. It's
Yeah, they do.
yeah, it's
So if
crazy.
you want to find really interesting stuff these days, outside of movies and reality shows on TV, go find an indie comic.
Yeah.
You
Do me
will
a
not be
favor.
disappointed.
Scroll back
No.
up for a minute. I changed I changed 2 of the stretch goals around on the picture. I had a GIF and it disappeared, but at 6,000 is a slice and dice, that one. So there's no
This one?
picture. I have to go fix it because I touched it, right?
Oh,
6,000, it's called the slice and dice event. So what this is, since I'm a martial artist, I have a plethora of weapons, Pepe. And so we name a fruit or vegetable. And so this goes out to all the backers. I send out a survey. They name a fruit or vegetable. They vote on a weapon of destruction. And then I dress up as Pikachu and I go on the Tuesday Morning Brew and I destroy the fruit
you
or
go
vegetable.
Gallagher on it?
I do. They've picked a sledgehammer twice now. But the first one was a watermelon named King Joffrey Baratheon. And they voted on a Filipino short sword, and I sliced that thing into 35 pieces. So, but I was dressed as Pikachu. So we have fun. We have fun. It's interactive, and
that's the bottom line on comic books. They should be fun.
yes.
They should be fun.
And our comic can be so dark at times. We really do address, we point a big flashlight at how ugly. Man, yeah, and I did customed my sledgehammer so it would do more damage. Oh, I hear a little.
Yeah, he's got two boys. Martin's got two
Three.
boys. Three. I'm sorry.
Gosh, 3.
I've only
I think it's
seen
3.
2 at once. So yeah.
So because we're so dark, sometimes we do silly stuff as well to kind of lighten the mood, and we can't stay in the dumps all the time. We got to lighten the mood. So yeah,
Well,
so
even that is a certain kind of fun because you're you're delving into the dark in kind of a fun way. Yeah. I like it.
Thank
like
you. Thank you. Yes.
Oh, hey,
If we
Vic.
get all the way to 8,000, I'll go get a tattoo, but I don't know.
Oh wow, that's commitment right there.
Yeah, I mean,
I hate
I'll do
needles.
it.
I'm never going for that one. Sorry.
I haven't had a tattoo since when was I? I was 21 when I got my tattoo.
I was 45 when I got my first one.
Yeah, and they say they're addictive, but I never really had an addiction to them.
I've got 3 now.
Too bad. So, but I'll go get another one, and this is the symbol that I'll get. But I get to choose where it goes. People don't get to vote that I get it on my forehead or something dumb.
Now I have a question for you. So, Path of the Pale Rider, got it right?
Yeah.
You're putting a whole bunch of effort into building this big universe, right?
Yep.
Do you have any other ideas that float in your head that you feel like you have to get out? And then what is that pain like to know that you invested so much of your time on Path of the Pale Rider that,
Path of the Pale Rider has an end.
Good. That was gonna be my question.
It has an end. The end has been written.
Good.
It's quite a bit out. It's 36 issues. So if I continue to produce the comics how I'm doing them now, so 24 page issues, then it's 36 total. We have 3 arcs of 12. However, if we start making more money on our Kickstarters, I can combine some of the issues. So maybe instead of 12 issues, we have 6. It's the same story. It's just more pages in each book.
Okay.
So but eventually we will get to the end. And then at that point, I have to do something else because I'm already in this comic book crazy world.
And once you get the bug, you can never get rid of it.
But what you're doing right now takes so much
I got
discipline.
long white hair. I've been at this a while.
It takes so much discipline to stick with one because you want to get it out, right?
No, but I still get to express the other ideas because I'm doing like William Russell Psycho Sal and then like Big Dog Inc. I'm doing he does this really great spin-off on The Wizard of Oz. That's a Western. So I was like, ooh, sign me up, coach. Like, put me in. I do Westerns. And so I'm writing something for him. I just had another artist approach me who does one-shots about his two characters, and that's completely different. It's
Oh
called
my
Gemini
God,
Force, and they are musicians in outer space in the future. And so it's a different creative muscle to flex, you know? And so I'll get other small opportunities, but I love those where I'm like, okay, I get to write this one and then I can go back and do Path. There's a child there. Hopefully he has pants on. You never know with the children. You never know.
No, you don't.
No. So I still get to do that, but I mean, the effort that goes into like this kind of Kickstarter and the merch and the world building, there's no way I could do that on two different stories at the same time. This takes up full time. So it's like, yeah, I'll do your script for you and then you can go produce it. Bye. Have fun with it.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Right.
Here you go.
Here you go. Like, and then I either barter or I get a page rate, however they want, to compensate me, but I get compensated for those. And then they have to then produce and do their own Kickstarter thing. I'll share it and I'll promote it, but I'm not there every day like I am for Path. Like, hey, whose show am I on today?
That's really good.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a comment here, and it goes back to your beginnings. You said you didn't get into comics until you were in college, right? And,
yes.
And so you don't have what I would call the legacy comics burden sitting on you, because you don't even know what that is.
Correct.
So I think I mean the legacy built something that you can build on, but because you don't have that burden sitting on top of you, I think you come into this with completely fresh eyes and a perspective of do-it-yourself stuff that's going on in there, and so you're like, well, how do I make this happen? I kind of like this format, if you could call it a format, or this
comics aren't books, they aren't movies, they're the strange amalgam of both.
Yes.
And something else.
So you sat down and said, okay, how do I make this, even though this world that existed before you, you're like, well, I want to kind of make it from scratch, right? And you do have a reference point of a sword, but not the same way as a dedicated historian or history comic person does. And so that I think that gives you a little bit of freedom and insight into how to approach things. And
it makes things fresh.
Perhaps some of those insights could carry over to us and Silverline, and maybe even up to the big boys. So good on you. You've done something very, very innovative and very interesting.
Yeah, there's still some of the basics of storytelling in comics form that's there that you've had to pull that in. You already had the idea. You just had to pull. Okay, how do I tell it in this format? And then once you get into it, go, ooh, this can do what movies can't do. This, but comics can.
Yeah,
Books
we talked
can't
about
do this,
that.
but comics can. Yeah,
yeah. Do a TV show.
Yeah,
Netflix.
I thought about that we could. I mean, and it still really could be translated into like a Netflix show instead of a full-length movie. It was originally a full-length movie, but since I broke it down into issues, it could very easily translate into episodes. So it could be like 12 episodes of season 1 and 12 episodes of season 2.
Sure.
I would love to see it animated. That would be cool. But again, it's just I enjoy having the creative control because there's a message I'm trying to convey. My characters I'm very much attached to. So I want them to be seen and appreciated for who I intended them to be before.
That's the greatest strength of modern comics is that one person's vision can be focused and done.
Yeah, without someone else telling you.
You don't have an editor over your shoulder telling you, oh, no, you can't do that.
Right.
No.
With the advent of print on demand. It has opened up
Yeah.
an entirely new
That and
avenue for comics
and crowdfunding.
and crowdfunding.
Crowdfunding. If it wasn't for crowdfunding, we wouldn't be here because we all know how expensive it is to do these.
Yeah.
So, and to be able to pay an artist a fair page rate, everybody in my team gets paid. They get commission, they get royalties, they get all of that. And so that's why our goal is 4,550 and not 1,200. Right. Also because I'm not producing the art. So it's so much easier sometimes when the artist runs the campaign because they're not paying themselves. So that comes out of the equation.
I
But
pay
as
my
the writer,
penciler
it's
up
like, I got to
front.
pay all these guys.
Yeah.
They deserve it. This is good work.
I pay my penciler up front, and I make that money off of the shows that I do and the previous Kickstarters.
Yeah,
so that
I'm the oddball here. I'm not worried about making money at this. I had a regular full-time job. I have Social Security. I have a pension. I'm living on. I'm doing this for the fun of it.
Well, yeah,
I
do too, because all the profits I make goes to my talent.
Yeah.
I don't make any money off of it, but I
I'm
gotta get
doing this because I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're blessed enough where our Kickstarters pay for a majority of the cost. So I'm not upside down on these. So
I'm
that's
also
how we're
retired,
able to continue.
so
Because this is my
this is what I
full-time
do.
job. So I have to go sell cookies if I'm short on a cover. And I do. Hi, Vic. Haven't seen you.
Well, we have run over our hour, and we do need to
Oh.
wrap this up. But it
I
has
was having
been
so much fun.
I know.
Well,
it's just
you'll
so
have to
easy
come
talk.
back.
Yeah,
thank
well,
you for letting us get to know you.
You
Yeah.
guys should watch my welcome video. We don't have to do it on the show.
I saw it. I watched
Okay.
it. I did. It was very, very funny.
We have fun.
Well, I'll
So,
tap you next month when my Kickstarter's going. How about that?
yeah, come on my show.
Yeah.
I would love to book you all on my show. We just got to make sure that I have space, and I think I'm booked out until August. So we'll squeeze you in somewhere.
Yeah,
Thank
that's when
you.
my
Yes,
world
Chris
starts
and I
getting crazy
connected.
again. Yeah.
Chris
All
is
right.
paying it forward because someone answered all those questions for me one day.
That's
Yeah.
right.
That's what you got to
Mentoring.
do.
That's what you got to do. All right, folks. It has been a wonderful Wednesday Wham this week, and I have thoroughly enjoyed talking to Laurie. You're so enthusiastic.
You're
love it.
inspiring.
Yeah, very inspiring.
It
Yeah.
reminds me of of what I was like 35 years ago. It's like, I was like, go, and I've mellowed out over the years, and then I see you come along, and I'm like, you get me all excited again.
Good. It's contagious.
Yes, it is.
It's such a pleasure being on the show with you guys.
Comics are addictive. Comics are addictive. Reading
More
and
addictive
making
than
them.
tattoos.
Yep, that's right.
More addictive.
All right. As we like to say at the end of every Silverline show, and stick around for a little bit, Laurie, because we always chat. All right. As we like to say at the end of every show, make mine Silverline.
Silverline. Hey, I'm G-Rod. Make mine Silverline. You heard me.